The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hey, and hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Reader's Magnet featured author interview, where we dive deep into the world of creativity and inspiration. And our guest for today is the author of the book Linked, Mosaic Pieces. So please help me welcome Wes Skillings. So, Mr. Wes, how are we doing today?
So far, so good. You know, I'm an old guy. I'm 77 years old, but it's my lucky year because I was born in 1947. I'm 77 on October
Oh,
7th. That's got
love
to
it.
be good,
So,
right? Always good
hey,
when it
those
happens.
those are some lucky numbers, though. Gotta give it to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So again, hey, so to all of our viewers and book lovers, though, again, gotta check it out. Though, book is there on screen, as you can see it right there. So if ever you want to grab a copy, feel free to click on the link. We'll be adding the links down in the comments section below. But before you grab a copy of the book and you want to know more about this book, let's try to ask the author itself. So, Mr. West, before we start talking about your book, can you please give me a quick introduction of who is Wes Skillings?
I'm Wes Skillings. Do not have unlimited skill. I I'm was That's hard. I don't talk about myself. I was I'm from Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. I
Mhm.
went to college at Mansfield University, but before that, Mansfield University in Pennsylvania. Before that, I went in the Army and went to Vietnam as an intelligence analyst. And
Mhm.
I got out of the Army, GI Bill, went to college on that. So that's one good way to get to college, but you got to go to war, really.
Wow.
So, and when I was in college, Mansfield, um, I never thought. I mean, I knew I was pretty good at bullshitting when I was writing. I mean, sorry, I don't know if I could do that.
It's okay.
But when I took a creative writing course and I entered one of my essays uh, in the Atlantic Monthly national contest for college students, and I
Mhm.
won one of the. I mean, I didn't win the overall. It was just different, whatever it was essay category, I guess it was.
Mm.
And, it was called Day at George's Place, and it was about the Pentagon where I worked when I came back from
Mm.
Vietnam. So it was sort of more of a humorous thing, you know. This
Hey,
book is
hey,
not humorous.
hey, talking more about, because again, as again to all of our viewers though, and just also me to interject here, because again, as you can see on his profile though, Wes Skillings, Wesley or Mr. Skillings, was
Yeah,
a reporter, columnist, and editor covering the news under a number of categories. We're talking about hard news,
right.
investigative articles, human interest features, and even weekly commentaries. And right now, he is also still writing, but is now being as an author. So, Mr. West, one thing though, because again, I know you've written some humor sections, whatnot, and this is not a humorous book. So, tell us, what is this book all about then?
Well, it's a 19. It's about a 1973 murder case, and I think it's
Mm,
both fascinating and disturbing, if only because of what has been learned in the aftermath of a trial at which a man named Kim Lee Hubbard was decreed guilty of second-degree murder of one
okay.
Jennifer May Hill, 12-year-old girl.
Hmm.
Do you want the full what's in the book thing yet, or?
Hey, if you can just give a just not to again,
Well,
this is
anyways,
the story of
yeah,
the book,
the
but not
arrest,
the whole thing.
prosecution, and jury's verdict required only 4.5 months after
Hmm.
her remarkably well-preserved body was found in a cornfield not far from her home on October 28th, 1973,
Mm.
long before you were born. She had been dead in that field, according to evidence presented by the Commonwealth, for 216 hours, which is 9 full days, in unseasonably warm and dry weather. And yet the body on the autopsy table on the evening of October 29th was, quote, as fresh as if she'd just died the day before, unquote,
Oh,
according to the man who just picked up the body and later embalmed it. It was just the beginning of a litany of discrepancies and evidence and testimony presented at the trial, as well as questionable investigative practices by state police, and clearly revealed tampering and wholesale manufacturing of evidence.
mm.
Investigative journalism in intervening years helped build public support for Hubbard's innocence and widespread belief that he had been unfairly tried.
Hmm.
The story begins some 45 years before the crime, because this is about the family too, the family of Kim Hubbard, with the compelling lives of Joe and Doris Ann Hubbard, their marriage, and the tragedies and difficulties throughout their lives together. Uh, Joe was born just 9 months before the 1929 stock market crash that ushered in the Great Depression. His mouth was one too many to feed, and he was placed under institutional care.
Oh.
Child of 9 in what they called poorhouses back in Pennsylvania in the early years of the Great Depression. Doris Ann endured childhood under an abusive father, but it wasn't happily ever after for them when they got together, Joe and Doris Ann. There were tragic losses of 2 children that they had. One was consigned to death, literally to a watery grave to save Doris Ann's life when the baby's enlarged head, the result of hydrocephalus, was trapped in the birth canal. The other, a boy of just 6 years old, died instantly of crushed cell. This is, I'm sorry, this is not under the wheels of a school bus on a snowy February afternoon across the street from his elementary school. And Kim's younger sister, best friend of the murder victim, was a survivor. She suffered through a traumatic childhood as a sister of a convicted killer. And then it goes through the arrest, conviction based on questionable evidence and testimony. And that's the center of the story. But it's also about this family. They're a courageous family that I don't know how they did it, but they went through a lot of bad times and they won my respect. Yeah. And you can learn more. There's a website called KimHubbardStory.com, which I did the overview for. And it has evidentiary photos. It has the affidavits of witnesses that came along after that were different from what the prosecution was saying happened. Yeah. So it's sort of, I guess that's a website, but that's I didn't make it. I participated in it. KimHubbardStory.com.
Wow. And because hearing this from you, Mr. West, and also talking more about the contents of the book, I believe that this book really explores the emotions like grief, trauma, and anger, especially with the experience that these
Right.
families had.
Right.
But talking more about, again, you also part of the website as well, the overview, and also the story is written in this book. But if I just like to ask you though, like, because again, even though that this is it could be that, again, from the subtitle itself, the dark side of American justice, it
Yeah.
really makes 100% sense with this. So if you could share with me maybe an excerpt from your book, like you could say is your favorite within it.
Okay. I don't think it's necessarily a favorite, but it was very instrumental to how
Sure.
the trial and how the
Mhm.
jury may have depicted him.
Mhm.
It was, first of all, it was tried by the local press, and especially the Williamsport Sun Gazette newspaper in Williamsport, PA.
Mhm.
Most of the testimony was paraphrased in news articles and, a few direct quotations.
Okay.
Testimony of witnesses for the defense were rattled off with basically one paragraph summations, and the defense witnesses were called friends of Kim Hubbard and Hubbard's witnesses. So they weren't really being objective about the whole thing. They were, but
Mhm.
that's the way newspapers are, except the ones I work for.
Okay.
One of those rare quotations they had in the paper could easily have led to a mistrial, and the Sun Gazette devoted a separate story to the incident, and this is going to be where I'm quoting from here. Excerpt: when Kim's girlfriend Colleen White Knight was on the stand with alibi confirming testimony for him.
Mhm.
The opening paragraph of that article reported that while his daughter was testifying as a rebuttal witness for the defense, Kenneth White Knight stole the show. In the lead paragraph on page 1 of that newspaper, the father of Hubbard's girlfriend jumped to his feet in the back of the courtroom and shouted, "Colleen, how can you sit there and lie? For God's sake," he continued, "you've lied enough already." The story went on to report that the judge ordered the apparently distraught father
Mhm.
removed from the courtroom. As White Knight was being escorted out, he apologized to the judge with the article continuing the account. As he was leaving, White Knight said, God forgive her. She doesn't know what she's doing. The last
Mhm.
quotation was not contained in the trial transcript, though the first one was. It was almost biblical, and it's sort of reminiscent of a famous quote out of the Bible: "My God, forgive them; they know not what they do." So it must have been quite an impact on the jury of mostly parents who could commiserate with a father's anguish over a child led astray by a amoral lover. I guess they would be depicted because he obviously was the person they said killed Jennifer Hill. So this thing's setting it's certainly not a favorite excerpt, but it sort of tells you how the locals were learning about this case. So I think it was you know newspapers can do that, but that was dramatic. So maybe I would have done it too, played it up. I don't know.
Hey, who knows? There, it's a again, not really. Certainly, it's like a favorite excerpt, but that excerpt at least gives you the theme on what is currently going
Yeah,
on with
yeah,
the situation of the book as well.
yeah.
And you know what, Mr. West, just one thing though, especially talking more about this book here, and talking, and especially the topic of this book here is talking about something that happened in real life, like it was written papers, it was something that was discussed. But who inspired you to compile everything and then write this book and get this out there?
Well, who inspired me was
Mhm.
the people that I was sent to write this story on.
Oh,
The family of the Hubbards.
okay.
I need to respect them. Um, and I think when I saw how they handled it, when I went there, I was sort of skeptical, as you are. So a woman calls, says, "My son didn't kill that woman, and we're going to prove he didn't." This is 3 years after the trial, so I wasn't
Mhm.
really that familiar with the trial. So I met this what I would consider a really courageous and noble couple
Mhm.
who pretty much convinced me that their son did not do the crime, and that Joe Hubbard, the father, he'd uncovered all this evidence after the trial, and that well, pretty much destroyed a lot of the. I mean, we had a girl in the field that was fresh body, and she's supposedly been in that field for 9 days, and that type of thing, and it's just crazy stuff. But that's what sent me into it, and I thought, well, it stayed with me for years. I mean, I did this series in the paper and all that good stuff, and I worked with a guy from this Philadelphia Inquirer who came to look into the case, and I worked with him on his coverage, and but I couldn't get it out of my head. I thought
Hmm.
somebody was walking around that murdered that girl. I think
Yeah.
I know who it was, but I always said what they did to Kim, I'm not going to do to somebody else because I think the evidence points toward him. But somebody got away with murder, and in the meantime, this whole family was almost destroyed
Hmm.
um, by this. He
Hey,
came
and
back. Kim Hubbard came back
yeah.
to the town in which he was raised, where he supposedly committed this murder, and he was immediately accepted because all the other news media followed after my series, including Harrisburg Patriot News and another local paper that formed just to cover this case.
Mhm.
And so people in the area, they were seeing all this stuff and going, "Man, I think I couldn't have done that."
Hmm.
So that's why he came back to his hometown, and he was accepted. I mean, there was obviously probably people there, probably the family of the girl or whatever, that might not have been too happy, but that's what journalism can do for you if you do it right, I think, and not just
Yeah.
me, but and body. Anyway, that's
But hey, I do agree
basically
with
what
that.
convinced me to get in there. But
But again, I do agree with that. Like journalism is again, journalism and even media coverage is a huge and powerful thing. Like everything that revolves right. Because if people hear it, then they think it's true.
Right.
Like
Right.
there are not a lot of inquisitive minds like thinking like if ever, let's say if ever there's going to be like crooked ways in you to use media coverage and then tell a lie, everyone will believe that lie eventually.
Right.
But again, it always boils down like how it can be used for how can journalism be used. It can be
Right.
used for good. There might be some things though, but again, it kind of disturbs me in a way though that there's still that killer walking around
Right.
and like nothing has happened to him. But again, everything was pinpointing.
Probably
But
he's
at
already
least
probably he's
yeah,
already died. That was so long ago.
yeah. But again,
It's not. He went through his whole life without having an answer for that. But
yeah, it's gonna be like a blank page, and it's gonna be a blank page within a chapter, like knowing who really did it, what happened to him, and if ever he regretted it. But
mhm.
there are a lot of things that we really can take away from this story as well, and
Right.
even the power of perseverance is also can also be possible within these situations. But Mr. West, I'll be asking you, like, if people will pick up your book, try to read it out and see for themselves, what do you want your readers to take away after reading your book then?
Well, I think Mosaic Pieces is a different kind of true murder mystery because it
Mhm.
sort of fits in the genre. It's it fits about the categories: narrative, nonfiction, true
Mhm.
crime, law, but it also fits in a sort of a newer category called true crime novel, which
Yeah.
everything is true. The facts, what happened,
Mhm.
the people, but you explore the characters deeper,
Mhm.
you know, and they are very interesting characters, and they're a lot like you and me, or I don't know you that well, but like the average people, and people can identify with them because they can think, what would happen if they converged on my house and started
Yeah.
accusing my son of murder? So
Mm.
it's for the record, it's neither a cold case or an unsolved murder, obviously, because he's still convicted on the record. It's
Yeah.
an example of an investigation trial that is replete with flaws and inconsistencies, pointing in the direction of somebody other than the man arrested and tried in prison for murder. True crime buffs will get an inside look at testimony and evidence introduced in the trial. Then I'll show
Mhm.
them the evidence the jury didn't get to see or hear, and they can
Mm.
decide for themselves. Their full trial transcripts and evidence can be analyzed on that website I told you about, including evidentiary photos and revealing affidavits from key figures, casting a whole new light on the case.
Mhm.
Murder at I don't know, at the center of this book may be older than the age of the average American, probably. And I'm looking at you, I know it's older than you, right? So, but
Okay.
you know, but the crime and everything that happened could happen today, really,
Yeah.
because American justice is far from perfect. Because judges and prosecutors and defense attorneys and police and jurors are only human, and they're subject to prejudices and emotions that form their opinions. And now with social media today, who knows what could
Yeah.
happen next? And at least we had a code of ethics, I think, in journalism that you're
Mm.
supposed to have, you know. And there's no code of ethics really in maybe some social media. I'm not going to condemning it all, but
Okay.
everybody goes to their favorite websites or their favorite. They go Fox or they go CNN or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know,
Everyone goes to try to gets their own source, and where
yeah,
they it's more how does it much more believe they believe that people who bring these news are really
right,
have research and the such. So, I totally agree with you and I totally understand right now. Again, it can still happen within today though. There might be some technological differences, even a time
right,
and age modernization, but it can still happen anytime and any moment as well. And we will never know. And who
right,
knows if
right.
or how it will work out. So, and to all of our viewers and book lovers though, if you do love true crime thriller books, I would highly suggest for you to grab a copy of Wes Skillings' book that is available through Amazon and Barnes& and Noble, and also through his website, which will be popping up top of the screen as well. So you can just click
Cool.
on a link, grab a copy of the book, and hey, also, Mr. West, is before we wrap this interview up, is there any? Because again, there's going to be books here, and again, a true crime novel being signed though is going to be something good. So, is there any events that you'll be joining in within the next few months where people can catch you? Maybe
Yeah,
get
of course, the Printers Inc. Book Fest in Chicago, which
Mm.
is, I think, the second largest such festival,
Yeah,
book
yeah,
show,
yeah.
or whatever you want to call them, in the
Hmm.
country. And that's weekend. It starts on, I think, September 4th and 5th, which will be a Thursday and Friday. I'll
Hmm.
be there the 6th and the 7th,
Mm.
signing books and things, but I'll also be doing an on-air 30-minute book talk that will be shown at the festival. I'll be here still on
Oh,
that
okay.
4th or 5th. I don't remember which. Yeah, pretty good promoter, aren't I? And anyway, so we're looking forward. I'm taking my wife with her and with me, with her, whatever.
Hey, for,
She's
for
going to
let me
be
just
with her too, I guess. Yeah.
So again, to each and everyone though, as I would highly suggest grab a copy right now and then visit us at the Printers Row Lit Fest that will be happening this September 6th and 7th, and make sure that you can get your book, your own very own book signed, and grab a signed copy right now, or you can visit and maybe you have any questions or any clarifications about the book. And it's really wonderful to meet the authors and creators of these books. And so I just want to say this though, Mr. West, that it is a pleasure though, and I really love this conversation. It really puts things into perspective though. But
Yeah.
before I end this, are you planning to make a sequel for this book, or are we stick is Mosaic Pieces a
Well,
one-er?
yeah, I said I could add that because that was on the original list. But sequel is obviously, as I've said, the only way I could do a sequel would be if there'd be another crime,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they, you know what I mean? It's like there's
Okay.
so much into it about this, this, this. Do
Mm-hmm.
I do it? It could be another crime story, which I'm not too thrilled to do. I've done one on a guy with traumatic brain injury, and that's another book that's out there. So that's not was well, that was actually sort of a more of a positive book because this guy destroyed 2/3 of his brain, and he's
Hmm.
out there doing something. So I don't want to promote that book. So I don't know about sequels. I'd rather do something. I do a lot of blogs and commentary with. I use humor mostly, hard
Hmm.
as it is to believe. And if I did another book, I'm going to do something with humor, man. Maybe I'll take a collection of my blogs, and I don't know. Who knows? But
Hey, who knows? But okay, Mrs. West, if ever there are some things though that you want to go for it, again, you are an author. You have your own you have your own pen. You can write down stories you want to write, and also to all of our viewers though, if you want to check out his blogs though, Mr. West also has his website. That's skillunlimited.com. He does his blogs in there, so if you want to catch him, check it out though. Or if you want to do some increase though, once you get on that website, feel free to do that though. And I would highly suggest for you to click on those links that we'll be adding in the comment section down below. So. Mr. West, one thing though, I just want to say as we come to today's conversation, I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity for joining us today. And I am really excited to see where your writing journey takes you. And hopefully, though, I could see more of your work here in the future, Mr.
oh,
West.
thanks, Rob. Thank you for doing a great
Okay.
job. You're pretty smooth, man. I love it.
Hey, and you know what? To all of our viewers and book lovers, thank you very much for tuning in. And always remember that every ending is just a new beginning in the world of stories. May your reading adventures be endless and your imagination boundless. And as we say here at Readers Magnet, we share your stories with the world.
Yeah.
Thank you and have a good one. Bye.